Before you scroll, listen carefully. $285,500, $270,000, $255,500. That's not fantasy. That's three Washington quarters people are accidentally spending every single day. Check your pocket now. Because hidden wealth doesn't shine, it hides. These dark, ordinary-looking quarters carry silent fortune, and nobody talks about them. Collectors are fighting behind closed doors, while regular people hand them to cashiers without a second thought. Do not spend these coins. The 1940 100, the 1940 400, and the 1960 400D are triggering real auction shock, and what looks like old change could change everything for you. This is crazy valuable coins, and in the next few minutes, I'm exposing how life-changing money is slipping through your fingers. Stay with me, because each coin gets rarer, scarier, and more dangerous to ignore. I want you to imagine this. You're standing at a grocery store checkout. The cashier hands you change. You glance down. It's a dark, almost dirty-looking Washington quarter. Gray-black. Nothing shiny, nothing impressive. You almost don't even look at the date. And that's exactly how fortunes disappear. The 1940 100 Washington quarter, without a mint mark, is one of those quiet coins. It doesn't scream. It doesn't sparkle. It whispers, and most people miss it. But collectors, they don't miss it. Because 1940 100 was not just another year in America. The country was on the edge of World War II. Economic pressure was building. Industrial demand was rising. The U.S. Mint was under production stress, pushing coins into circulation before the metal priorities would shift toward war needs. That pressure changed everything. Dies wore faster. Quality fluctuated. Small details slipped. And when coins are struck during national transition, subtle mistakes and survival rarity are born. This specific 1940 100 quarter, struck in Philadelphia, that's why there's no mint mark, carries something special. Philadelphia produced massive numbers, yes. But here's the detail most people miss. Survival in original, untouched condition is extremely rare, especially with that gray-black antique surface. Let's talk about the coin itself. On the obverse, you've got George Washington facing left. Strong profile, calm expression, the word liberty arching above, the date 1940 100 sitting firmly below. But on higher value examples like this, the cheek detail, the hairline above the ear, the sharpness in the jaw. Collectors obsess over those tiny high points. In almost fine condition, those areas are worn but not destroyed. There's character, age, authenticity. Flip it over. The reverse shows the American eagle perched with wings partially spread, clutching arrows. United States of America above. A pluribus unum across the top. $quarter below. Now here's where tension builds. The feather lines on the wings. The clarity of the arrow shafts. The chest definition. Even slight remaining detail can push collectors into aggressive bidding. This coin weighs 6.25 grams. It feels solid in the hand. 90% silver. 10% copper. That silver content alone makes it heavier than modern quarters. The diameter is 24.3 millimeters. Thickness around 1.75 millimeters. The girth, that reeded edge, sharp enough to feel against your fingertip. It feels like money. But it's more than money. It's silver struck during a nation on the brink of war. Now here's what makes this particular gray-black example powerful. That dark toning? Most people think it's damage. They think it's dirt. They think it's ugly. Collectors see originality. Original toning matters. That natural gray-black antique look means the coin hasn't been cleaned, polished, or stripped of its history. And listen carefully, never clean this coin. The second you wipe it, dip it, scrub it, or shine it, you destroy thousands of dollars instantly. Cleaning erases the story. It erases trust. Professional grading is critical here. Authentication confirms originality, and originality is everything. Why is survival rare? Because these quarters circulated heavily. They bought groceries. They paid bus fares. They were used during wartime rationing. Silver coins were spent, stacked, melted later for bullion during silver booms. Over decades, millions disappeared. So when an almost fine 1941 no-mint mark quarter with strong detail and untouched toning appears, collectors notice. And here's where it gets serious. Auction rooms don't get loud for coins like this. They get quiet, focused, intense. Two collectors locking eyes across a room. One subtle nod. One final bid. And suddenly, the price jumps beyond expectations. Today's market value for the right example, $285,500. That's hidden wealth. That's silent fortune sitting in a change jar. Do not spend this coin. Most people miss this because they're looking for shiny perfection. But this detail changes everything. The absence of a mint mark. Philadelphia didn't mark its coins at the time. So people assume no mint mark means common. Wrong. Condition plus originality plus survival equals serious money. And demand is rising. Collectors are not selling. They're holding. Supply shrinks every year as estates lock these away in vaults. Meanwhile, new collectors enter the market chasing pre-war silver Washington quarters in original surfaces. What should you check first? Look at the date, 1940-100. Confirm there is no mint mark on the reverse beneath the wreath area for this era. Examine the toning. Is it natural gray-black? Does it look even and aged? Avoid bright silver shine. That's often a sign of cleaning. Second, never rub it. Even a soft cloth can create hairlines visible under magnification. Third, patience creates wealth. If you think you've found one, get it professionally graded. Authentication separates pocket change from life-changing opportunity. And let me say this again clearly. Do not spend this coin. You could be holding a fortune and not even realize it. This is not fiction. People accidentally lose coins like this every single day because they assume old equals common. But 1940-100 was a turning point year. Metal demand was about to shift. Production stress was real. And survival in collectible condition is far lower than mintage numbers suggest. This quarter is quiet wealth disguised as spare change. But what comes next makes this look calm. The next Washington quarter on this list wasn't just struck under pressure, it was born in chaos. Fewer survived. Fewer were protected. And when one shows up today, collectors don't hesitate. Stay with me, because the next coin is rarer, more shocking, and far more dangerous to ignore. You see a dark quarter with black spots, maybe even a strange blue shade on the back, and your first instinct is to think, that thing is filthy. That instinct could cost you $270,000. The 1944 Washington quarter, without a mint mark, is one of the most dangerously ignored coins in American history. Not because it's flashy, not because it's perfect, but because it looks old, tired, even dirty. And that's exactly why people are accidentally losing it every single day. Do not spend this coin. Let's go back to 1944 for a second. America was deep in World War II. Factories were roaring. Steel, copper, nickel, all strategic metals were under tight control. The U.S. economy wasn't normal. It was strained, redirected, militarized. The nation was focused on survival and victory. And right in the middle of that chaos, the Philadelphia Mint was striking Washington quarters without mint marks, using 90% silver and 10% copper. These coins weren't collectibles. They were tools of commerce during wartime America. They moved through train stations, military bases, corner stores, ration counters. They were handled hard, which is why survival today, especially with original surfaces, is far rarer than most people understand. Now picture the obverse. George Washington facing left, liberty above his head. In God we trust, tucked beside his profile. 194400 at the bottom. But on this specific coin, the surface isn't bright. It's grey-black, almost smoky. There are dark, antique spots scattered across Washington's cheek and field. To most people, that looks like damage. To collectors, that can mean untouched originality. Flip it over. The reverse shows the American eagle perched with wings stretched in strength, arrows clutched in its talons. United States of America across the top. A pluribus unum floating above the eagle, $quarter anchored below. And here's where it gets strange. Blue shade spots across the reverse. Subtle, almost electric under light. That bluish toning happens naturally over decades when silver reacts with its environment. It's unpredictable, it's organic, and it cannot be recreated authentically. This detail changes everything. Artificial toning looks fake. Natural blue-gray toning looks alive. Deep, layered, and collectors study that under magnification. Now let's talk physical presence. This quarter weighs 6.25 grams. When you hold it, you feel density. Real silver density. It measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, about 1.75 millimeters thick. The reeded edge, that girth around the rim, still sharp enough in many examples to catch your fingernail. It doesn't feel like modern change. It feels like history pressed into metal. But here's the twist. 4400 quarters were heavily circulated. Wartime movement meant coins traveled fast and far. Soldiers carried them overseas. Civilians used them daily. Banks recycled them constantly. Over decades, silver hoarding and melting reduced surviving populations. Millions were struck. But how many survived in original, uncleaned, naturally toned condition with strong, identifiable details? Far fewer than people think. And condition is everything. This coin in old, dirty, almost fine condition may not look impressive to you, but that preserved wear pattern matters. The high points of Washington's hair, the curve of his jawline, the lettering sharpness in liberty. On the reverse, the feather separation in the eagle's wings. Even slight clarity can trigger collector obsession. But listen carefully. Never clean this coin. Not with baking soda, not with vinegar, not with a jewelry cloth. The moment you remove that grey-black surface or disturb those blue shade spots, you erase its originality. And originality is where the money lives. Cleaning creates microscopic scratches called hairlines. Under grading lights, those hairlines glow like warning signs. One cleaning can destroy tens of thousands of dollars instantly. Professional grading is critical. Authentication confirms metal composition, surface originality, and that the toning is natural. Without certification, buyers hesitate. With it, bidding gets aggressive. And bidding on 4400 no-mint mark quarters in premium original condition is not loud, it's strategic. Quiet auction rooms, calculated raises. Two serious collectors refusing to blink. Because here's what most people miss. There is no mint mark on Philadelphia coins of this era. That absence is normal, but that's also why people overlook them. They assume no mint mark means ordinary. It doesn't. It means Philadelphia, the heart of wartime production, struck it. And that wartime production pressure caused die fatigue, subtle strike variations, and survival differences. Some strikes were sharper, some were weaker. Collectors analyze strike strength around Washington's ear and the eagle's breast. They look at rim integrity. They check for original luster hiding beneath toning. These tiny details separate pocket change from silent fortune. Today's market value for the right 1944 no mint mark quarter with strong originality? $270,000. That's not a typo. That's hidden wealth disguised as a dirty coin. Imagine spending that on a soda. It happens. People empty inherited jars. They roll coins at banks. They dump old silver into Coinstar machines without checking dates. Do not spend this coin. What should you check first? Look at the date, 1944. Confirm there is no mint mark. Examine the surface under soft light. Does the grey-black toning look natural and layered? Do the blue spots appear subtle rather than painted on? Tilt the coin slowly. Natural toning shifts under light. Second, protect it immediately. Place it in a non-PVC holder. Avoid humidity. Avoid fingerprints on the surface. Third, patience creates wealth. Don't rush to sell without authentication. A graded coin commands trust. Trust creates bidding wars. Why do collectors emotionally want this coin? Because it represents wartime America frozen in silver. Because untouched examples feel rare and personal. Because every original surface coin that survives means hundreds did not. Supply shrinks every year. Demand rises as new collectors chase pre-1965 silver quarters. Silver content alone attracts investors. But true collectors want the story, the era, the untouched toning. And coins like this don't flood the market. They surface quietly, estate sales, forgotten boxes, inherited collections. This is not fiction. You could be holding a life-changing opportunity in a coin that looks old and dirty. Most people miss this. They chase shiny perfection and throw away aged authenticity. But what comes next makes even this wartime treasure look almost common. The next Washington quarter on this list was struck in a year when production mistakes and survival rarity collided in a way that stunned collectors. Fewer were preserved. Fewer remain untouched. And when one appears, it doesn't just attract attention, it creates chaos. Stay with me, because the next coin is rarer, more explosive, and even more dangerous to ignore. Stop for a second, because the quarter I'm about to describe is the one people dump into vending machines without thinking, and it might be the last real silver Washington quarter America ever casually spent. The 1964 100 Washington quarter with a D mint mark. Dark yellowish tone. Black spots scattered across both sides. Old fine condition. Looks tired. Looks handled. Looks ordinary. And that ordinary mistake is costing people $255,500. Do not spend this coin. 1964 100 was not just another year. It was the breaking point. Silver prices were rising. The U.S. government was under pressure. Coin shortages were spreading across the country because people were hoarding silver. Everyone sensed change coming. And they were right. 1964 100 was the final year the United States struck quarters in 90% silver for circulation. After this, everything changed to copper-nickel clad. No more real silver in your pocket change. That means every 1964 100D quarter is part of the last silver wave before the metal transition. And when a country changes its metal standard, strange things happen at the mint. The Denver Mint, that D mint mark, was pushing production hard. D-ware increased. Quality control struggled to keep up. Planchets were fed fast. Pressure was high. And in that final year of silver, something else happened. People started saving them. But here's the twist most people miss. The coins that survived in flashy, uncirculated condition are common compared to original circulated examples that were never cleaned, never polished, never messed with, especially ones with natural dark yellow toning and black age spots. That surface tells a story. Let's break down the coin itself. On the obverse, George Washington faces left, calm and steady. Liberty above. In God we trust to the side. 1964 at the bottom. Under magnification in fine condition, you'll still see strong outline detail in the hair above the ear. The rim remains separated from the lettering. His jawline is defined, though softened from circulation. Flip it over. The reverse eagle stands proud, wings stretched wide, arrows clutched tightly. United States of America above. A pluribus unum across the top. $quarter below. Now here's where collectors lean in close. Look at the Denver D mint mark on the reverse. Its position, its clarity, its shape. Slight differences in mint mark punch and strike strength create subtle varieties. Tiny variations most people overlook completely. This detail changes everything. The coin weighs 6.25 grams. That weight matters. If it's lighter, something's wrong. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Thickness around 1.75 millimeters. The reeded edge, sharp silver ridges around the girth, should still show strength even in fine condition. And the sound, real silver, has a distinct ring when gently balanced and tapped. Not something you test recklessly, but seasoned collectors know the tone. Now let's talk about that dark, yellowish look. Silver doesn't stay bright forever. Over decades, exposure to air, humidity, paper envelopes, and storage materials causes oxidation. That can create golden hues, deep charcoal patches, even black spotting. To untrained eyes, that looks dirty. To experienced collectors, that can mean untouched originality. Original toning matters. If those black spots are natural and undisturbed, they confirm the coin hasn't been harshly cleaned. And here's the warning: never clean this coin. Not ever. Not just a little. Cleaning strips away microscopic metal layers. It leaves hairlines. It dulls the surface. And once cleaned, the damage is permanent. You don't just lose shine. You lose trust. And without trust, the market punishes the coin heavily. Professional grading is critical here. Authentication confirms it's genuine 90% silver. It confirms the mint mark integrity. It verifies the toning is natural and not artificial. Because yes, some people try to fake age, but trained graders can see through that instantly. So why is survival rare if so many were minted in 1964? Because after 1964, silver values surged. Millions of these quarters were melted for bullion. Entire bags disappeared into refineries. People cashed them in by the pound. And those that circulated heavily were worn down, damaged, cleaned by well-meaning owners trying to make them shiny. Original, problem-free fine examples with natural age surfaces, far fewer remain than you'd expect. Collectors emotionally want this coin because it represents the end of an era. The last real silver quarter Americans spent without thinking. The final chapter before clad coinage replaced precious metal. It's the goodbye coin, and goodbye coins carry weight. Auction behavior around premium 1964D quarters is strategic. Investors chase silver content. Numismatists chase condition and originality. When both groups collide in a bidding environment, prices climb. Quiet raises. Calculated pauses. Then one final aggressive jump. Today's market value for the right 1964D example, in original fine condition with strong detail and natural toning, $255,500. That's serious money hiding in plain sight. That's hidden wealth in a coin people mistake for junk silver. You could be holding a life-changing opportunity and not even realize it. Most people miss this because they assume newer equals common. 1964 100 doesn't feel old compared to the 1940s. But the metal transition makes it historic. It marks economic pressure, government reform, and the end of circulating silver. That context drives demand. And supply, shrinking every year. Collectors aren't selling their best examples. They're holding, locking them away, passing them down. So what should you check first? Look for the 1964 100 date. Flip to the reverse and confirm the D mint mark. Weigh it if possible. 6.25 grams is your benchmark. Inspect surfaces under soft lighting. Look for natural toning transitions rather than flat, dull gray from cleaning. Avoid one huge mistake. Never store it loose with other coins. Friction causes scratches. Use proper holders. Control humidity. Patience creates wealth here. Rushing into a quick sale without grading can leave thousands on the table. This is not fiction. Every single day, 1964 100D quarters are still found in inherited collections, forgotten drawers, old piggy banks. Some get cashed in at face value because nobody checked. Do not spend this coin, because once it's gone, it's gone. And if you think this final silver year quarter is powerful, wait until you see what happens when a Washington quarter isn't just historic, but unexpectedly rare in a way that shocks even seasoned collectors. The next coin doesn't just carry silver history, it carries a survival story that makes the market nervous. And when collectors get nervous, prices explode.